I think that I really feel that's important with leaders. So, like your leader.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. My name is Rabbi Ron Goldberg. I want to welcome you all to our Friday night services. I'm shouting really loud to make sure that I can be heard because my microphone is apparently not yet turned on, but that's okay. In fact, now that I think about it, that's okay. Very good. Now we're on the air. We welcome Shabbat with song. I have to say before we start singing, when I started here at HaYam, it was summertime. And I would drive out here down the Ventura freeway. The sun wasn't even setting into the Pacific Ocean yet. Today, at 6:30, absolute darkness. It is indeed California winter time. So if anybody besides me is suffering from the cold, just keep in mind, California winter. We welcome Shabbat. Singing Shalom Aleichem. It's on page number 13. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim Kadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Join me on page 15 for Lachuna Ranana. What was that?
We were just going to ask you to put the mic.
Did that help a little bit? Okay. Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Ladonoi. Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Ladonoi. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Nekadma Pana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Letzur Yishenu, Bizmi wrote Naria lo. Lechuna Ranina, Lechuna Ranina, Lechuna Ranina, Ladonoi. Lechuna Ranina, Lechuna Ranina, Lechune Ranina Ladonoi. Let's do a little more singing. Join me on page 19. Let's actually read this one. Let's do the English responsively. Psalm number 99. Adonai is sovereign, nations tremble. God is enthroned on high, the very earth quivers.
Adonai is great in Zion, exalted over all people. Let them praise God, for God is awesome.
He's sovereign, mighty, rules with the love of justice. You alone bring about equity, in ordaining justice and compassion for the people of Jacob. Moses, Aaron, and Samuel, God's chosen ones, called out to Adonai, who answered them in a pillar of cloud. You responded to them with compassion, even as you rebuked them for their offenses. Remember Eloheinu, B'Yisrael Har Kadsho, Ki Kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. Page 20, Mizmor LeDavid. Or LeDavid, Havuladonai b'nei Elim, Havuladonai kavod va'oz, Havuladonai kavod, Ishtachavuladonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai alamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai almayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayishaver Adonai et arzehol vanon, Vayarkidem kimo egel, Levanon v'sirion kimo ben re'emim, Kol Adonai Kotzet Lavotesh, Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yechole Ayalot, V'yachasof Yalrod, Uvachelo Kulo, Omer Kavod, Adonai Lamavu Yah, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Leamo Iten, Adonai Yevarech et Amo Vashalom. I'm pretty sure my wife is not watching this on the live stream, so I'm going to go ahead and share something with you. You know, you'll see her tomorrow morning, okay? But that being said, after we just celebrated 23 years together, I think I bought a little bit of job security. We have a dream. Has anybody here ever been to Sfat in northern Israel? Me too. Me too. It's beautiful. I can't draw a straight line, but I really enjoy the arts up there, the paintings, the other things. But we have a vision of one day opening up our own little bed and breakfast at the mountain at the bottom of the hill. So when I think of that, I think of Lecha Dodi and the Kabbalists going out into the forests around Sfat to welcome in Shabbat. So someday we're hoping to have our own little bed and breakfast there. When they come out to greet the Shabbat, we'll have little cups of wine set out for them. It's a picture we have in our minds. We'll see how this goes. If this rabbi thing doesn't work, that's going to be plan B. But my friends, page 21, Lecha Dodi. I appreciate that. Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem ultiferet v'lit hila, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki makor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maseh b'makshabati la, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise and face that side of the room where the opening to the doorway is. We turn to the last paragraph on page 22. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha u'sohola, tochem unei am segula, boi kala, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. May be seated. We say to those who are in mourning, those observing Yortzeit, Hamakom yachem echem, v'tov shavle som v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One, blessed be He, comfort you mostly of the mourners for Zion and Jerusalem. Let's read page 23 responsively in the English. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
We affirm your love each morning, your faithfulness each night, the music of the lute, and the melody of organ.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
Vast your works, Adonai, you design them beyond our grasp.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
But thee you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes, and I have heard the despair of my death.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they shall thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant. To proclaim Adonai is just, my rock in whom there is no God.
Amen. We turn to page 28. We rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Torah. May be seated. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe. Your word brings the evening dusk. You open with wisdom the gates of the dawn sky. The day with wondrous skill, set out the succession of seasons and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. Adonai Tsevaot, you create day and night, rolling away the light from before the darkness and the darkness away from the light. Eternal God, your sovereignty shall rule and embrace us. Praised are you, Adonai, for each evening's dusk. On page 29, we sing the Ahavat Olam, the blessing before the Shema. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amka Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shofenu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ihem chayenu v'orech yameinu, Uvahem nege yaman v'layla, v'havatchat mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. On page 30, we cover our eyes. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'elef, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, V'shivtecha b'veitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shakbecha uvkumecha, v'shartam liot al yadecha, v'hayulatotafot beinenecha, v'uktatam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha. Normally at this time I call upon Lynn to read for us, but I'm going to do, because I've done that too often, I'm going to pick on somebody else. Miriam, can you read the English for us? You shall love Adonai your God.
Me? Oh, Miriam. Where?
Page 30, where it says you shall love Adonai your God.
You should. You shall. Shall. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, it's Friday. Okay. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might.
And these words which I command you this day, you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children, recite them in home and in way, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates.
Amen. Thank you. We continue silently to the bottom of page 31. L'man tizkeru v'asitim hakol mitzvotai v'aitem kadoshim le'Elokechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzitichem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. You know, something that Lynn asked me and Ron asked me before services, they asked a question about what a custom was. Where did this custom come from? And I said, I don't know that one. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm sure if we asked the appropriate rabbi, he could point us to what text you read. So, Fran, I'm going to ask you a question now. Well, Fran. Okay. What is, when we talk about reading a text, you hear the phrase deep reading. Did you run into that when you were at HAU? Did they use that in the ed department? Deep reading.
Oh, yeah, it's deep reading. It's funny you asked that because I just had this experience in a Musar text where we were given a Talmud text.
Uh-huh.
And you can read it casually, or you do a deep dive into it, and how does it apply to you?
Okay, I'm going to go even deeper than that. Okay, that was you. When you're looking at the original Hebrew, each vowel, each little dot has a meaning. And it depends, sometimes there's we call the Peshat, the plain, simple meaning. The Peshat means like the simple. And that tends to be where I generally live. I live in the it says what it says. Then there's they call the remez, the hint of what's actually underneath the words. And then like deep down is called the sod. And sod means secret, the deep secret meaning of the word. So when you study Kabbalah, this is where you live. So the one I wanted to made me think of this to tie all this together, in saying the Shema, we keep running this word levavecha, your heart. Okay, your heart. How do you spell for the Hebrew grammarians present? How do you spell lev means heart? It's also a proper name if you're old school in Europe. You knew guys are named Lev. How do you spell lev? Hebrew. That's right. 2 letters. But levavcha has how many letters in it? Leave off the chet, the chaf sofit, because that's not part of the root. How many letters in levavcha? Very good. You could actually look at the text and sheet and look, but yes, 3. There are 3 letters. So go back to page 28, and we find levavcha. Oh, actually, I'm on the wrong page. No wonder you can't find it. Page 30, middle of the page, it says HaYam all of Avecha. So you have actually, as you say, Lamed bet, and the Chaf Sofit, and the Chaf Sofit isn't part of the root. So you have Lamed bet. Why are there 2 bets? Aha. Here's the answer. If you do this deep dive, this is where it takes you. We're talking about serving God with all our heart, with all our soul, and our mights. How many hearts do you have? 2. What are they?
I try to figure it's your physical, more your soul, your nefesh, and your action.
You're on the path. How about our Yetzer Tov and our Yetzer Hara, our good inclination and our bad inclination? That both of your inclinations, both of your hearts should be directed to serve God. You need to have both of them. Ron, you would say to me, you can't possibly live without the Yetzer Hara. You can't. For example, here's a really easy one. Anybody here like love? Everybody's pretty much in favor of love? Love without love would come from the Yetzer Tov, right? The good and most of the time. Let's go with the disco generality. Where does passion come from? That's right. What is love without passion? There's a word for that in English. It begins with a B. Boring. Boring. Love without passion is boring. So when we talk about serving God with both of our hearts, we know that we carry, we know that we carry both of these hearts within us. And that we have to serve God with both of them. So back to your original point, we can always find that explanation, a deep dive into a text somewhere. So, and it's all there for us to find. For us to find, but the challenge is for us to actually find it. Yeah, Fran.
And I learned this week, like, we always are told we have to study with somebody else. Studying is not the power of studying with one person or group. You get to that deeper text more easily.
If you, particularly in my humble experience, if you study with somebody who brings a different point of view than you do, or a different skill set, my study partner, Rabbi Jason Rosner, is now the rabbi at the Reformed congregation in Simi Valley. Jason's a great guy, lovely guy, annoying to study with, annoying. But he always brought something totally different to the text than I did. I would be looking at that plain, simple meaning. We'd be studying Talmud together, and I'm going, it says the sky is blue. And he'd look at me and goes, well, no, it's only blue if the sun is shining. But if the clouds are out and you can't see the sky, is it still blue? And I'd be going, where does it say that? He says, it's implied. So he would see it so much differently than I did. So you need that other person who's seeing it. You're looking at it this way, from another point of view. It's very, very important. So you're absolutely right. Studying by yourself can be good sometimes. It can be good, but having a partner to bounce those ideas off of and to munching it together, absolutely essential. My friends, page 32. Malchuto baratzon kiblu aleihem, Moshe, Miriam, uvenei Yisrael, v'chanu shir simcha rabah, amru kulam, mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo osef eleh, v'utacha ruvanecha, v'okam lifnei Moshe, ze'eli anu v'amru, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov, v'golo miyad hazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, kal Yisrael. Besides me, who got woken up by the thunder last night? About 2 o'clock in the morning? You slept through it. It was loud. My wife... in the West Valley, it was really loud. My wife slept through it. She says to me this morning, how did you sleep? And I said, I was up for an hour. You know, I heard that. Then I heard the rain coming down, and I was thinking, we'd put the trash cans out last night for pickup. I'm going, did the trash cans get washed away? I want to go outside and look. Did our backyard flood? And I decided, you know what? I'm going to try to go to sleep. An hour later, I finally relaxed enough to fall asleep. So when you get to Hashkivenu, it's both a prayer for peace, and it's also a prayer for a good night's sleep, which I'm really looking forward to this evening. Page 33. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufrosolenu sukat shlomecha. Let's read together in the English. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us and our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our going and coming. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise to you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us and over his people Israel and over Jerusalem. Oh. Sometimes you look down and you notice something in the text. Don't want to save it, do it now or save it for the next time. Let's do it now. Middle of the page, you run into this phrase, V'chaser Satan milfanenu me'acharenu. Who is Satan? Yeah. So it's always fun to see what does the Hebrew literally say? Remove Satan from before us and from behind us. So when people ask me, does Judaism believe in the devil? Not in the same way our Christian friends do, but we had this idea, understanding that there is an adversary that we have to wrestle with. My friends, Chetzi Kaddish before Amidah, page 34. Yikada v'yikada shemei rabah, yamah dibrach yirtev yamlech malchuteh, v'chaye chon uvyom echon, uchaye dechol beit Yisrael, Bagala, Uvizman Kari, Imaru, Yeheshme Rabba Mavora, Leal Meo Maya, Yibarak, Yishtabak, Yiparva Traman Vietnase, Yitadar, Yitalev, Yitalal, Shemeda Kudisha, Leila Mikobar Khatav Shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Damir Ambioma, Bimaru. Pages 35b through page 40 is our silent Amidah. We rise the prayers from the text or the prayers from our own hearts. Yikadav Yikadash Shemei Rabbah, Yamad Rakutev Yamlik Malchute, Bechaykonev Yamlichonu Katakol Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Isman Kari Vimru, Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah Mavora, Leol Meo Maya, Yitbarach, Yavrak Yishtabak Parvat from Anvit Nasev, Yetadar Vitalev Vitalal Shmei Kudisha, Leila Mikobar Khatav Shirata, Tushbechatav Nechamata, Yomeran Bioma Vimru, Tikabel Sokon of Autocon, the Kosho Kadabov Hondi Shmaya Vimru. Amen. Yeshlom Robin Shemaya, Kamalin of Akol Yisrael Vimru. Amen. Osesham Rama, Puyase Shalom. Alenu Velkol Yisrael Vimru. Amen. Let's make Kiddush, then we'll do a little discussion. Page 49. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzovanu, b'shabbat kodsho, v'avahu v'ratzon, himkilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, kihu yom techila, l'mikrei kodesh, zecher litziat, Mitzrayim, Kivanu Vakarta, Beotanu Kidashta, Mikol Hamim, Beshabbat Kodshecha, V'ahavau Ratzon, Min Kaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Couple of things I wanted to take a dive into this evening. First of all, this upcoming week, major American holiday. What do we call it? What's the nickname for it? The nickname?
Turkey Day.
Turkey Day. Very good. So my first thing to go with Turkey Day would be, in Hebrew, the day is called Chag HaHodayah, the day of gratitude. Gratitude Day. But Hodayah's root word is hodu. You'll hear us saying that in prayers all the time. Hodu ladonai kitov kilom kasto. Hodu means like thanks or gratitude. It also means the nation of India. So if somebody says, I'm going to Hodu, I'm going to India, you finish up your army service, it's a natural thing. The kids go to India. It also means Turkey, that's right. So it's interesting that Chag HaHodayah, the holiday of the turkeys, works just as well in English as it does in Hebrew. Okay, I thought that was fascinating. Right. Just so. But it's a holiday that is one of the few holidays in America that really goes across, sectarian lines, but all faiths in some way, shape, or form have the idea of gratitude. I take part in interfaith service. I've told you over at Crespi High School. It's myself, the Crespi clergy who outnumber us all, and the local imam from the Islamic Society of the West Valley. And all of us have this idea of gratitude. So it's one of those days that we all stop and pause and share our common ideals about gratitude and our common American heritage. I'm always reminded, who remembers the Reagan administration? We all do, that's right, okay? Who was Ronald Reagan's big political opponent in Congress? Very good, Tip O'Neill. And what always struck me is both President Reagan and Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill would talk about how their families, the Reagans would invite the O'Neills over to the White House for Thanksgiving dinner. And they would joke about how a couple of Irish American kids were celebrating their common heritage on Thanksgiving Day. It just hit me that like they could pause and recognize and see in each other that commonality. There's a lesson in there, but I'm not going to beat you over the heads with it. Fran and I had an email discussion earlier this week, and it kind of inspired me. In Musar, they talk. I'm imagining it's not my specialty, but imagine they talk about things like dignity, okay, and protecting the dignity not just of yourself, but of the other person. Okay, in Pirkei Avot, we read that a teacher should hold his student's dignity just as highly as he holds his own. Where does this go? What in Judaism do we believe can assault somebody's dignity more than anything else? Words. So you'll see constantly these admonitions against gossip, these admonitions against lashon hara. Okay, this idea that words have weight and words can hurt. So let me give you a couple of examples of both words can help and words can hurt. So here's an example, and you can tell me whether it's helping or hurting. Back when I was interning at Beit Shuvah, they have their annual gala. And the addicts typically get clothes, gowns, and suits donated to wear to the big event. And we were getting ready to get on the bus to go from Beit Shuva to the gala at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And one of the girls was showing that her brand new dress. And she asked her what she thought was her boyfriend a very logical question. And and I'm on wife number 2, I know this question and I know the answers to it. What did she say? That's right. No, it was worse than that. You know what she said?
How does it look? Red makes me look. Don't I look great? Don't I look pretty?
There we go. There it is. There it is. Does the dress make me look fat? Okay. I'm on wife number 2. I know the answer to this question. Hang on a second. You're getting ahead of the story. Okay. Don't even act like you're considering it. The answer is no. Now, this young man, being a super genius and taking to heart the lessons we talked about, being truthful and not telling lies, looks at her and says, "The dress doesn't make you look fat. You make you look fat." Okay. I saved his life by sending him behind me because the girl's friends were thinking about taking not even sharp butter knives and removing him. Okay. Words can hurt. Words can inflict amazing pain. So we're always being aware that you have to consider what you think. Well, let's use that example of how does this look? Okay. Again, my wife is not watching this, so I can say this safely. Judy will say to me before we go out the door, how does this look? Now, assuming it's not something she knows in and of herself looks ridiculous, what she wants to hear from me is, you look amazing. When we get where we're going, Lynn, you'll be the example for a second. She'll take Lynn aside and say, does this work? Now, from Lynn, she can hear, Jude, I don't know if that green goes with your complexion. From Lynn, she can accept that. From Lynn, she might hear, I don't know if that shows you off to your best. From me, you look amazing. Words have weight. Words matter. I'll take it one more step further. This is kind of what we were talking about earlier in the week. I've talked about many times about one of the biggest adjustments for me is remembering you're never not rabbi. Okay, so we'll be at Barnes & Noble in the Commons. I'll be at the magazine rack. There are certain magazines in public space I cannot pick up and read. Okay, never mind Playboy. They don't carry Playboy. But you know what they do carry that I cannot pick up and read in public space? Cosmo. Who was on the cover of Cosmo every month? You're right.
A woman dressed somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure if what she's wearing constitutes being dressed, but there's a woman on the cover. And the articles on the cover are always something on the lines of how to have better sex. Okay? As rabbi, I can't be in the Calabasas Barnes & Noble sitting on a bench reading that. Why? Because it just doesn't look. It doesn't work. Okay? I will own one more thing about me. Never mind, Mark and I have talked about going to Tommy's. Let's leave that one aside for a second. I have a terminal case of potty mouth. Everybody familiar with that syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay. Miriam, no?
No, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my biggest challenges is to keep certain words out of my vocabulary. We were at a lunch and learn last week, and it's people who have known me for 25, 30 years. So I feel a little more casual about it. But we get in the car to go home, we barely got the doors closed, and my Jiminy Cricket, known as Judy, known as my conscience, began to take me to task over some of my choice of words and verbs and adjectives. Okay? You're never not. Rabbi, you can't say certain things. It just does not work. It's just not going to be acceptable. Is that right? It is what it is. I kind of feel the same way that at the end of the day, I think the Fran, is the phrase symbolic exemplar? Is that the one that I want? Okay. That at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, does the president of the United States get to turn to a female and say, "Shut up, piggy"? And yet, it's he did. Not only would he did. Okay. Okay. There's a certain amount of dignity that should come with the office, and Judaism is very big on this. That as clergy, as a leader, Judaism is very big about holding leaders accountable. Okay, we going full circle on this. We have expectations of the people in our community. We have expectations of our leadership, and it's one of the things I said. I know that I struggle with it, and I struggle to make sure that I'm always in role, knowing that I'm going to be held accountable. So I think, Fran, back to the original thesis, I think there are certain behaviors and certain things that as clergy, you're just precluded from doing. It just does not work.
So so then what is the lay person's responsibility
Oh,
when that happens?
well, see, that's easy. You know
Yeah, some of the people I shared in my class this event.
Okay.
So
So to me,
what
it's
is
easy.
that responsibility besides, I was so grateful to you that I could write an email, get it off my chest, but then if Lynn were, God forbid, to see you, not just looking at a magazine, but publicly saying something that was offensive, she could come to you directly. That would be ideal. Okay, ideal. But what's that recourse act?
I really believe with all my heart that we hold each other accountable. Okay? Look, the biggest disrespect, and Fran, it's your turn to be the example. The biggest disrespect I can give you, Fran, is to say, I don't care what you do, you don't matter.
Right.
That is the biggest, worst thing I could say to you. It's not I hate you. Hate means you actually care about you. Okay? No, it doesn't. It means I care enough about the person to hate them. That I don't care about you means that you don't matter to me. Okay? I would hope that number one, I wouldn't do wrong, but let's be real about that. And number two, if I transgress, and it's interesting, let's take this a couple of steps. What is a transgression to you might not be a transgression to Lynn and Phil. Okay? That doesn't make it any more or less. I would rather somebody, I'll give you a true story and we can use as an example. I was explaining, anybody been around a lot of Israelis?
Yeah.
Okay, Ron, stand up for a second.
It's all you.
No. If I'm talking to an American, oh, okay, about here,
Right.
okay, that was Dodgers won, okay? If I'm talking to an Israeli, and then the Dodgers won, did you see that thing? What an amazing game. What is the difference there? Americans were big believers in personal space, were big believers in don't invade my space. Israelis, they're tactile. They're tactile. They just, as a matter of course, when I'm around our Israeli friends at home, it takes me a second to adjust with that. Why is his hand on my knee? And it's just talking to them. It's a connection. It's just like that. Now, what I find offensive, Juan may not. And so the story went like this. I was telling this when I was working at the home. In America, we don't do that. But even in Israel, when you touch somebody, it's still not acceptable to reach out and touch one on the bottom. No. We're going to keep moving. But the point of the question I said was, it's not acceptable to touch somebody on the bottom. And what intrigued me was the two ladies I was sharing the story with, one of them said, "Yeah, you're right." The other one let me know a few minutes later, and she was a little uncomfortable. Rabbi, you used the word bottom. And it bothers her. That I used that word and that expression coming out of my mouth as grandma bothered her an awful lot.
Bottom did?
Bottom.
You could have used other words.
I could have used several other words, okay? But that, I could have said tuchus, okay? Tushi, whatever, but bottom, that I did that, I was referring to somebody, bothered her enormously. Okay, so what do I do with this? Okay, number one, I'll go and say, you know what? I'm sorry to hear that. I regret that I offended. Okay, and you keep moving. Okay, acknowledge the other person as the person. So to your original point, I think that this lady who's actually a really good friend of mine. She took the moment to explain her discomfort. I think that's legitimate. And I think I also think it's legitimate to hold, particularly a clergy, hold them accountable. Okay? Some things work in one congregational setting will not work in another one. There is after the second cup of wine on Pesach, I told this story, but when I told the day Shuvah, because with that congregation, I won't say anything goes, but it's a lot more, it's a different place.
Right.
Ron?
What word would she approve of?
I have no idea. I think we should.
Backside.
No, they back up. The issue wasn't the word in and of itself. It's that I, as clergy, as rabbi, was referring to that part of the body.
It wouldn't have been a
That was just, you're right. At the end of the day, that was the root issue. It just goes from there. It's just sometimes recognizing, I think there's two things. One, it's you have a responsibility to hold me accountable, and then have a responsibility to recognize that, yes, maybe the 10 of the people in the room, you were the one who took offense, it's still valid. And between me and you, I think it's easier for me to say, Debbie, Chair, I'm sorry, I regret that offended you, I'll keep that in mind for the future, then to spend the next 10 minutes explaining to her why she shouldn't be offended. Okay. Her friends, because I know the other woman took her to task on it, found out. She said, that bothered you?
But that's okay. That's
right, let her do it. But for me,
Right.
it's easier for me to say, you know what, I regret that, I'm sorry that it bothered you, I'm sorry that I bothered you. This is a good Yom Kippur one, but apologies need to be, can't have a but in that.
Right.
Okay, as soon as it says, I'm sorry that I offended you, but it was just the word bottom. Doesn't mean anything at that point. It's the shorts, the root is, I think we hold each other accountable, and when we don't, I think we're doing even worse now, if you say we don't care.
That's what
And sometimes it's also good to reconcile. I went to Mensch Club over at Chabad. Did you ever make it over there?
No.
So Chabad of West Hills has a once a month thing called Mensch Club. A couple of my friends shanghaied me, dragged me, showed up at my door. Remember kidnap breakfast? Basically, it was a kidnap breakfast, okay? I hadn't gone in years. I owe that rabbi a big debt. When I was working on my master's thesis for rabbinic school, I was using some Chabad text, and I was having trouble with it. He spent a lot of time, fair amount of time, helping me with it. So I'm a debt of gratitude for that. But at this Mensch Club, after the third or fourth beverage, he told an amazingly off-colored joke that to this day I can't believe a rabbi said that in public space. It took me a long time to get past that. So I mean, it happened to, I think, someone it really taught me that even after the third drink, you're never not rabbi.
You never know. Right.
And it goes from there. Other thoughts before we wrap up and enjoy some liquor? Okay. We rise on page 51 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hako late gudula leotse breshit shelo asanu kigoye aratzot velo samanu kamishpachot hadama shelo sam kelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kachol hamonam Lifnei melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch. Kakatu b'Toratech Anayim L'Kleolam Va'ed V'Ne'emar V'Haya Adonai L'Melech Al Kol Haaretz Hayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad. May be seated where we remember the following yard sites this week for the week of November 21st and 22nd. Gerald Land, father of Fran. Irene Rich, mother-in-law of Brenda Rich and grandmother of Mark Rich. David Moses Kadonsky, father of Miriam Mack. Lena Hirsch, mother of Ava Lau. Frank Spunt. Okay. Uncle of Phil Barron. See, I got the first one right. Barton. Saul Kupperman, father of Mark Kupperman. May their memories be for a blessing. This is Zikronam Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. All those who are in mourning, all those observing Yortzeit, please join me on page 52 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Ravah v'yamad ibrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayekon v'yomekon v'chayed ochol Beit Yisrael v'gala v'zman kari v'imru Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach Leolam Umei Omaya. Yitbarach Yishtabach Yipar Vitroman Vinase Yitadar Vitale Vitala Shmei de Kudashah Berechu Ve'ela Mikol Birchata Vishirata Tushbachata Vinechamata Damiran Vioma Vimru Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shamaya V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Oseh shalom v'mamav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May be seated. We have our announcements before we do Adon Olam. Services tomorrow morning right here on live stream and in person at 10 a.m. Friday, December 5th, Erev Shabbat services right here at 7:30 and also live stream. And on Saturday, December 6th, again, live stream and right here at 10 o'clock. So, I'll go a little further. Friday, December 19th, Erev services will be again at 7:30, live and live streamed. On the 20th, again, live and live streamed at 10 a.m. Cantor Mike Stein will be leading services that weekend. Check our website for all upcoming events. All classes are on Zoom. Our Musar classes with Fran will be 7 p.m. Thursday, the December 4th, 11th, and 18th.
Yes.
And we take a winter break after that, right?
Yes.
Very cool. The ritual our ritual meeting will be on December 14th at 10 a.m. on Zoom, followed by the board meeting at 11 a.m. on Zoom. All invited to attend. If you're not a member of the ritual committee or not on the board, please email to Brenda for the link.
Brenda for the email, yes.
Very cool. Remember, order script and gift cards. It's easy on the website. Visit our website and click on Giving, the tab on the right-hand side of the menu bar. You see all the available retailers. Please check it out. And see the flyer in the big dollar. And please email Brenda, who will order your selections. You win and the congregation wins. Anything else I missed? I need a volunteer, Ron or Miriam, to help me roll Torah after we get a couple of bites of something sweet. In that case, we turn to page 54. We finish with Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'cheso Kol Hazar Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kiklot Kol Levado Yimlok Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu yeh b'tifara, V'hu echad v'ein sheni, L'hamshilo l'hakbira, B'li reshit, B'li tachlit, B'lo ha'oz v'hamizra, V'hu eli v'chai go'ali, V'tzorchev li b'yetzara, V'hu nisi umanosli, Menakosi b'yom ekra, B'yado afki ruchi, B'eti shan v'yaira, B'imruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira. Shabbat shalom, everybody.